Hello everyone, it's Dio from Firm But Fair Gaming, bringing you another World of Warcraft video. Today we are bringing you another video in our weekly Mythic Plus series covering the affixes that we're going to be receiving this week. So this week is going to be a Fortified week. So of course Fortified is non-boss enemies have 20% more health and inflict up to 30% more damage. And the lucky affixes we get this week is both bursting and storming. So of course, bursting is when you kill a non-boss enemy. So when you kill trash, you get a dot that lasts for 4 seconds, and it has a stacking damage buff that gets applied to you. And if you kill another mob, you get another stack, and then kill another mob, you get another stack. And each one applies the 4-second debuff. So if you kill 3 all at once, then you get 3 stacks of it, and then it could tick a couple times. And then if you kill a 4th mob, you're now at 4 stacks, and it refreshes the duration. So the concern here is you do not want to get to 6 stacks, because 6 stacks is pretty much a guaranteed wipe. And so you have to be careful with the staggered accumulation of the buff. There are certain mechanics that can be done to deal with that, but ultimately you want to try to stay under 6. Ultimately, I guess really you want like 2 or 3, but if you're bursting down a big pack, you just want to be aware of that as a healer more importantly. But anyways, I'm getting into a little bit ahead of myself. So that's basically bursting. And then storming, of course, is while in combat, enemies periodically summon whirlwinds. So this is more a melee issue than a range issue, as they dominantly spawn on melee. And you just need to remember that when the storming spawns, the tornado or the whirlwind will pick a certain direction and go that direction. So it will either continue a full circle by going clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on which way its original circle goes. They no longer have a random pattern where they can just twist and do whatever. Now they fix with a certain direction, and once they pick that direction, then they just go ahead with it. That being said, so for tanks this week, basically you're going to control the flows of dungeon as you always do. So basically you need to keep an eye on the bursting stacks. So if you're just wrapping up a pull, you got to just keep an eye on the stacks to make sure, well, do you have a high number of stacks? Like, are you sitting at 4 or 5? Is the last mob is it going to drop off before, the mob of the pack finishes, and that sort of thing? Because also, like, even if it was the last mob and you're sitting at 5 stacks or whatever, those stacks need to fall off, so they're going to inflict a bunch of damage to your party. So you might want to just make sure your healer can handle the outputting damage that is coming, so you don't lose a team member and then rush into the next pull and do another big pull or something, and then find out that you're down 2 DPS or even your healer, and then the problems will just cascade from there. So you just want to be aware of the stacks, keep an eye on that, and make sure that as you're transitioning from pull to pull, that your party is going to be alive when you move on to that next pull. And as previously mentioned, storming spawns in melee, so it spawns on melee DPS and can impact you as the tank. Just keep in mind, as mentioned, the circles either go clockwise or counterclockwise, so just keep an eye on that. As soon as you see the storms start to appear, just position yourself accordingly, and you should be good to go. So again, we want to try to keep the stacks from bursting, because that'll be the biggest issue, to under probably more realistically around 4 or less if possible. When you get up into the 6, or if you somehow get 7 or 8, if you have a party-wide cooldown that you could use in order to help mitigate damage, or like rallying cry or something like that, just to give your group more health to survive the incoming damage, definitely pop that. Otherwise, just keep a watch on your stacks when transitioning from pull to pull, and remind your DPS if necessary. For healers, so it's going to be a healing intensive week this week, so your tank is going to get beat up a little bit because it is fortified, so the trash is going to hit a little bit harder. But the main thing is going to be handling that bursting buff, or debuff I should say. So if you have a magic dispel, of course you can dispel that off a single party member. Most particularly, probably not the tank, because the tank has the biggest health pool, so they will be fine. If you're a priest, of course, you have Mass Dispel that you can throw out on CD to get rid of all the bursting of your entire party. But otherwise, if you just have the single dispel, just keep that in mind. It might be worthwhile to dispel one member of the group when you get to 3 or 4 stacks, and then try to just heal up the rest of the group and let that particular party member, when a new stack is applied, just deal with the damage that's coming out and focus on the rest. There's certain cooldowns that you can, of course, use to help mitigate if the group stacks up too high. For instance, I'm thinking the Spirit Link Totem for Shaman, for instance. I know that in my group, my Shaman uses that a lot on bursting. When we get too high of stacks, we get told to stack up, and that is pop. And then, of course, if you are one of the melee healers, so I'm thinking the Holy Paladin, you just need to keep an eye out for storming. Again, as mentioned, and I'm just going to reiterate every single time, the tornadoes, the whirlwinds only spawn on melee, or rather I should say in a high probability. It would only spawn on range if you had a complete range makeup. And then the whirlwinds or tornadoes only go in certain directions, so they will either start with either going clockwise or counterclockwise and just finish that rotation. So just recognize what circle or which direction they're going, and just watch your positioning so that you don't get clipped by a storm mid cast when you need to be able to get that heal off. For our DPS, so at the top here we got tip of the week: manage the stacks equals wins. So this is on you guys. So as DPS, we are the ones that are killing everything, and so when things die, we're going to be getting that stack from bursting. You need to watch it. Like I said, if we get up to 6 or 7, it is most likely going to be a group wipe unless some externals are used or personals or stuff like that. It's pretty hard to heal through that. And the worst thing that we can do for our healer is stagger the accumulation. So that is like, you get up to 4, it gets down to 1 second, you kill another mob, now it's 5, and gets down to 1 second, you kill another one, now it's at 6. That is a lot of healing that your healer will have to deal with, and they may not be able to handle that kind of staggered bursting damage that is coming out. It is a ton. So do yourself a favor and your healer a favor, and watch the stacks. It is almost better to get all 6 at once than to stagger up to it. Of course, we don't want 6. That would be pretty bad. But if there is a choice between a staggered accumulation to 6 or just jumping to 6, jumping to 6 is probably better than the staggered approach, just from the sheer volume of damage output. So we just want to watch the stacks, do what we can, and also you want to use as many personals as you can. As per usual, we want to try to stay alive as best as possible, but this week it's going to be even tougher with that bursting. So just do what you can. If you have little heals that you can throw it along the way, so like I'm thinking for warriors, like stuff like ignore pain and that sort of thing, where you can just help absorb or mitigate some of the damage you'll be taking, that will go a long way this week. And also for storming, as previously mentioned, it's going to spawn on melee. They're going to pick 2 directions. It's either going to go clockwise or counterclockwise. As soon as you see the path of the whirlwind or the tornado, whatever you want to call it, just get to the appropriate spot out of its pathing, so behind where it initially spawns, and then just slowly move outside it to keep your max DPS, so you don't have to get knocked up in the air. It interrupts the cast or interrupts your melee damage, and the worst possible case is you get clipped by one of those, knocked up into the air, and then you get hit by an AoE effect or something like that you were supposed to dodge, and you're just flying through the air and unable to do anything about it. So just watch your positioning, watch your stacks. This should be one of the better fortified weeks that we've had in quite a while. So do your part, kill everything, manage your stacks, and it should be a win. So it's getting a little bit long-winded there, but again, I just can't iterate enough because it's bursting. Basically, we just want to watch our stacks, manage the stacks, and and it should be a good push week. We should be good to go, should be able to climb some keys this week. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a few rough weeks that we've had with some of the affixes, so this is the best one we've had in probably 3 weeks, I think. So I'm looking forward to it, hoping to do some big key climbs this week. Hopefully everybody else has similar aspirations. Generally speaking, Fortified is the tougher week just because with the additional health of the trash, that is where most of the time gets spent. But considering what the debuffs are, it's not like the trash is going to gain more health like it was last week with bolstering and stuff like that. So basically it's just a debuff. It's a healing week for sure. But overall, like I said, it's one of the better fortified weeks that we've had for quite a while. So as always, we appreciate any likes and subscribes. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know below. We'd be happy to have to answer any of those and open up some discussion. So good luck out there, everybody. I hope we all have a good week. So have fun.